Alright y'all, welcome back. It's Albert LaBelle, and it's time for part 2 of the Elemake, the MKD-001. You remember we did I did a part 1 of this, and I said we would kind of tear it down and go a little deeper into the lock. Well, as far as tearing it down, okay, now you can see I have it removed and I have the keypad removed from it, but we cannot, without destruction, we cannot get the rest of this apart or pull that core out, because you can see the way this is made here. It's really made to not be disassembled again. It's all crimped steel, all these little pieces in here. It's just the metal's bent over, and then they got this part right here really crimped on, as you can see right there on both sides. So, but really we don't need to move or remove all that to see how the mechanical part of this thing works, so it's not really necessary to break it. So what I wanted to show you is basically how the buttons on this keypad work, and then I'll show you. I mentioned to a couple of the commenters from the first video that this is actually the weakest point of this whole system, and sadly, again, since it can't be really disassembled, we can't upgrade this. So that's kind of a downer right there. But I told you we'd talk about how this works here. So remember I mentioned kind of the buttons being like on or off, okay? There's only two positions. They're either in or they're out, okay? Now remember, I left all these factory, okay? So all 6 on this side are the ones that need to be pushed in. The silver colored ones, if they get pushed in, the lock won't open. So that's how you would scramble up the combination. Plus you get 2 more of the coated ones, so you can have up to 8 digits for your combo, okay? Now, keeping that in mind, okay, I'm not a mathematician here, so please get in on the comments and help me out with this. You can have 4 to 8 digits for your combo, so let's just go with the max 8, right? Well, on their website, they claim you can have over 8,000 options. Now, how is that possible with only 8 numbers that can only be in or out? The way I see it, that's like 8 to the power of 2. Am I wrong? Which is 64, okay? Even if you flip it and do, let me see my math over here, I wrote down, flip it and do 2 to the power of 8, that's only 256. Let's say you can do all 12. Again, they can only be in or out. There's only 2 positions. So I think that would be 12 to the power of 2, which is only 144. And if you flip that and do 2 to the power of 12, it's still only 4,096. I can't do any math to come close to 8,000 possibilities with 8 digits. And like I said, I go back to my first part of the math. I think it's 8 to the power of 2, since there can only be 2 positions, in or out, and there's only 8 digits. I think it's 8 to the power of 2, which is 64, but I could be wrong. So yeah, help me out with the math on this, will you? Help us all out. But yeah, join the conversation, will you? But that's how I see it. But anyways, like I said, I flipped the math as much as I could, and I could not come close to 8,000 possibilities with only 8 digits. I just don't see it. So let me show you how this works. Now, someone did mention another thing too that we'll clear up real quick. How do you keep Mr. Bad Guy from seeing what numbers you're pushing all the time? Because they're going to get worn, right? Well, in my opinion, you can beat that by just changing the combination every couple of months, right? Then all the buttons are going to get worn evenly, and Mr. Bad Guy won't know which ones you're using, you know? Like we do our, different security codes. We change them every once in a while. I mean, it's real easy. Take this thing off the door. It's 1 screw to get this off. Change them around, put it back on, and then Mr. Bad Guy's not going to know which numbers you're pushing all the time. So that's an easy way to get past that. Now, told you I was going to show you kind of how this works. So remember, all 6 of these are the coated ones, so they need to be pushed in. So right now, let me reset it. So since they're out right now, clockwise would throw the bolt and open the door. So it can't turn. We need to push all these in. Now we can open the door. Okay, why is that? Now, if we push any of these in, they're going to get in the way and they won't let us open the door. Counterclockwise resets everything, because there's another plate in the back. When you rotate it to the left, that plate comes up and pushes all these forward. I'm going to show you. Hopefully I'm going to show you. I'm going to get some of these out of here with the fancy little tweezers they include. Okay, let me show you these pins too. Okay, so the gold are the code ones, what they call the code ones. Those are the ones that need to be pushed in. You see where the slot is? The one on the right, the silver one, is the non-code. So if it gets pushed in, it will be in the way, so the plate can't move. You see where the slots are? There's only those two different types. There's not ones, you know, they're not different slots in different areas. They're only the code, no code. That's it. Two positions, okay? So how does that work in the lock? Well, reset it again. Now, pay attention inside these holes here, okay? These three holes. So we're gonna get these out of the way so the lock can open. You're gonna see a plate slide up. You see it in the holes? You see that plate slide up. So if the buttons are in the way, like those, the plate can't slide up. The buttons are stopping it. Turn it this way and reset it. Now if you see in the back, look down inside the hole. Hopefully you can see that other plate way in the back. It's got little, like, ramps, if you will, on it. It's bent up, little sweeps, kind of, if you will. They sweep these back forward when you rotate it to the left. They're just little tabs bent up, and when you rotate this to the left, that third plate in the back comes down, pushes all these back out to reset everything. But you see how that plate, like right now, these are in the way. We'll get them out of the way. Now that plate can move. You see it? That's how simple this is. So, yes, you can decode this lock because that plate is hitting any of the buttons that are in the way, okay? So right now, obviously, none of these are in the way unless you push them in, okay? They're all scrambled up, you wouldn't know where those were. But if it was locked, you can turn it real tight to the right and just feel which ones are binding, okay? And since they don't have to be pushed in any particular order, all you need to do is make note of which ones bind, and eventually you're going to figure out which ones need to be pushed in, therefore decoding the lock. So it wouldn't be that hard, but it would take you some time. But you don't need to spend all that time because, as I mentioned, this is the weakest point of the whole thing. Sad to say, and again, we can't upgrade it, not without some destruction, and it might not go back together right. So I'm bummed out about this part. Let me show you why. We're going to lock it so you can hear it lock. Well, let me see. Unlock. Hear that click? Lock. Boom. Okay, so it's locked. We know that. Come on. There we go. And let me show you something here. I'm just going to get this tension tool in here. Yeah, I was real bummed out when I tried this this cylinder. And I'm just going to grab a triple peak rake. This one's from the Praxis set, by the way. And we're just going to give it I'm not going to try too hard. And there we go. Listen. There it went. Hear it unlock? Just like that. So let's put it back locked up. Throw that bolt again. Or that bolt that's not there again. Okay, locked it back up. And let's just say the rake didn't work. Put that back in there. This would be easier if it was on the door. Alright, so we're just going to single pin pick it. One of the Sparrows picks here. And we're not going to try real hard. Boom. 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 Missed one. Did I? Just like that. Here, listen. Bing! Just like that. So yeah, after all that, there's your weak point right there. And you know, I can let that slide if this can be disassembled and upgraded, because honestly, it's probably about as good as anything I'm going to find in my local home improvement store. So it's right in the, it's right in that ballpark, but that's pretty bad, as you can see right there. But yeah, so yes, it can be decoded. Probably going to take you a little while to figure out, all the buttons that need to be pushed in, but it's definitely doable. But again, there's your weak point on this one. I was let down by that. But yeah, hopefully that helps out. I hope I covered all the bases, what I was going to explain. But yeah, back to that math. Please dial in on the comments and let me know what you think. Again, you can only have up to 8 digits, and they can only be in or out. So the way I see it again is 8 to the power of 2, which is 64. But I could be wrong about that math. You let me know. If you can only have up to 8 numbers and they can only be in or out, how many possibilities can you have? Let us know, please. All right, so that is it. I hope I covered everything. Thank you all so much for tuning in for the second time on this lock. Please let us know what you think in the comments, all right? And remember, if you're not subscribed yet, you need to do so, because all the cool people are doing it and you don't want to be left out, all right? Thank you very much.